Hi, my brothers and sisters at Abundant Life. I am excited to be with you this evening and start our celebration of the Holy Week, which is the week leading up to and including Jesus' death. And really just take some time to focus on all of those last moments of Jesus' life with you. So that come Sunday morning, we can celebrate such victory, such a happy ending to a really sad week. So tonight, I want to talk with you about the account that the Bible gives of the Last Supper, the time that Jesus spent in the upper room with his disciples, and the portion of the account that I want to read to you and talk about tonight is in John 13. So if you've got your Bible and you would like to turn to John 13 with me, that would be great. If you don't, you can just listen along. I am reading from the ESV version. So, now, before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. During supper, when the devil had already put it into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going back to God, rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments, and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, do you wash my feet?" Jesus answered him, "What I am doing you do not understand now, but afterward you will understand." I'm going to skip to verse 12. When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to them, "Do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you're right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should also do just as I have done to you." So, a couple of things from this particular part of Jesus' last moments really sticks out to me. And so the first thing is that this was Jesus' choice, that he wanted to spend his last moments with these 12 men. Let's not forget who's included in the 12 men. As the beginning of the account reminds us, Judas is included in this 12. So he wanted to spend time with Judas right before he betrayed him, right before all the events that ended up with him on the cross. He wanted that time with Judas. And the rest of the disciples too were a pretty flawed bunch. We have Peter, who denies Christ 3 times between this meal and the cross. We have at least 9 other disciples who pretty much disappear entirely and abandon Jesus during this time. It seems like from the biblical accounts that John was there at the cross, that perhaps he was even there at part of the arrest, but the rest of them, nowhere to be found. These are the men that Jesus wants to spend his last minutes with. And he spends it washing their feet. Dirty feet, probably dirtier than yours or mine ever really get in 2020. It was a servant's job, which Pastor Shane mentioned a couple weeks ago in his sermon. But this is how Jesus chooses to spend a portion of his time with them. And so I imagine him getting down, getting ready to wash their feet. And you got to think that probably at least Judas is feeling a little bit weird about the situation. We know from the account that Peter gets is a little bit weirded out by it. Like, what is Jesus doing right now? But after he washes their feet, he then tells them, I've done this as an example for you. This is not a one-time kind of thing that, like, it's a one and done. Jesus did it. Isn't that cool? Man, he served them so well, even to the very end. No, this is I've done this. This is an example for you. And while we don't necessarily think that this means that Jesus is commanding us to quite literally wash one another's feet, as he has, what it is a compelling, a command to love people like this. To love people the way that Jesus loved them, to serve people the way that Jesus served them. And so we go back to who he's in this room with. He's with his people, his closest folks, but he's with at least two men who utterly break his heart. Peter with his denials, and Judas with his betrayal. So this is the love he compels us to. This is the love he asks us to display. This is how he wants us to remember him and to imitate him in our lives, because we're his disciples today. And so I have a challenge for you all. A way that you can sit a little bit longer in this, think a little bit longer about this, and put a little bit of action to it. You all were given wash rags in your Easter kit that came out earlier this week. So I would ask you to get some sort of a bowl or a basin, get your wash rag, put a little water in the bottom of this basin, and you have two options really. So you have the option of doing this together as a family. If you are all quarantined together, feel free. But if you, like I, live alone, or if you prefer to make this a more personal one-on-one experience with you and God, then get out the wash basin and get out the water and get out the rag, but you can do this on your own as well. So if you're with your family, the challenge is this: wash one another's feet. The people in the room with you are the people you love the most as well. And because life is life, they're probably also the people who have hurt you the most as well. So wash their feet. Remember that the love that Jesus commanded you to give is a love that is not based on worthiness, that is not based on whether or not that person is deserving. And follow Jesus' example in doing that with your family. Or if you're by yourself, I want you to get out this water, get out this wash rag, and imagine someone who has hurt you. Imagine someone who rejected you, who betrayed you, someone you loved well, who did not love you in return. And put your hands in the water and get out the wash rag and imagine what it would be like to be in the room with them and washing their feet. Because that's the love Jesus asks us to share with others. And because that's the love that Jesus shares with us. We denied him. We betrayed him. We hurt him more than anyone could ever hurt another. And he chose us anyways. He loves us anyways. I love you all, and I cannot wait to see you in person, hopefully very soon. Good night.